Hi, this is Tyler with Aftertouch Audio. Today I wanted to take a little break from my normal style of sound design videos and talk about my sound design journey, or how I got into sound design as a full-time career. I'll also be going over some tips and tricks on how to get your very first job, or if you're already working in sound design, I'll share a few secrets of mine that will help you get some more clients. My audio journey started at a music production college. It had other random audio classes, but the course was mainly geared around the recording and creation of music. Here's a list of all the classes I had taken. Throughout my program, I had to have changed my career about 30 times in the span of 2 years. I went from wanting to be an electronic music producer, to a cinematic composer, to a Foley artist, a sound designer, then back to a composer, and every combination of jobs in between. But I really tried to keep an open mind to every class and opportunity that came my way, as you never really know what kind of opportunities you might get later on down the road. I had gotten my very first paid job as a composer while in my third quarter of school, working on a short film called Late Harvest, which actually went on to win countless awards in a large variety of festivals. While this film never received a public release, it definitely helped make up my mind on what I wanted to do within the audio industry. A couple of months after Late Harvest, I graduated and was ready to take on the world, with just one small problem. I was absolutely floored with what to do next. No job, no money, very little equipment, and I had no connections in the industry. So I did what any normal introverted person would have done. And nothing, or at least very little help here. So it was time for me to get some footwork in. I heard that there was a local indie festival in town, and I had decided to reach out and see if there was any directors that needed any post-audio on their projects. I was given a list of everyone who signed up for the festival, and then I personally wrote all 25 directors who had applied for the festival to see if anyone would need post-audio work on their film. Out of the 25 that I had reached out to, 5 of them got back to me and said they would love to have me on the team. I had accepted all 5 films, not really realizing the amount of work I was getting myself into. While none of these films had a budget for sound, or really any budget at all, I ended up negotiating my payment in the form of a standalone title card credit, which is just a credit with a single name on the screen. With 2 solid months of insomnia and a lot of work, my sleep-deprived brain and I were ready for the festival. With a bit of luck, all 5 of the films that I had worked on were played as the last 5 films in the festival, and for 3 seconds at the end of each film, my name was displayed as a solo title card. This made it super easy to network. I really hate that word, but you'll see why in a minute. But it made it extremely easy when the festival was over and it was time for everyone to just talk with one another. I ended up making a lot of friends at the after party, and we're still really good friends to this date. After the festival, I started getting a lot of requests for location sound, so I did what any sane, desperate audio engineer would do. 2 months later, I was on my very first non-paid location sound shoot for a local horror film festival, where I not only got to work on the location, but I also got to do all of the audio post-production for the project. Doing both of these jobs drastically helped my post-production workflow, as I was able to identify problems on location that would be a pain in post to correct, but I also was able to grab some on-set effects like room tone, footsteps, impulse responses, and other production effects. But one of the best things about being on location is that you get to meet all the people working on set, and instead of just networking, you can make a lot of friends on set, which I think making as many friends within the industry is far more important than just trying to meet people to get paid work. Since I started doing location sound, I ended up getting more and more jobs for post-production, as I was making more connections on set. I continued this amount of work for about 2 years, but here's where I got my lucky break. Remember that first location sound job I got a year ago? One of the camera guys from that project had got a gig working on a show for the History Channel, and they needed someone for location sound. I had received a call from the director asking me if I was interested in working on this project. I let them know my past experience, and they asked me if I had any experience using the Sound Devices 633. This little guy right here. And of course I told them, yeah, of course, 100%, I use that all the time. They told me they're going to have someone on set with 20 years of experience with me for an entire week to help train me on additional equipment I'll be using for the shoot, and just to make sure that everything runs smoothly. I signed the contract for 40 days on set, and then I frantically looked up a tutorial on how to use the Sound Devices 633. When it came to the shoot day, I took full advantage of every moment I had with the expert and asked him as many questions as I could possibly come up with. Location sound, post-production, pre-production, microphones, anything that my mind could come up with I had asked. I had learned more in those 2 months of working on location than I did the last 3 years. After the History Channel project finished, I ended up doubling down on post-production audio and became more involved with my community, picking up more obscure and high-end jobs like designing soundscapes for our annual corn maze, getting into forensic audio, testifying as an expert witness, creating sound effects for live theater performances, audiobooks, designing sound for theme park rides, designing sound for sound effects in video games, and it was also at this time that I found 2 mentors that not only helped me hone my craft, but also have become 2 of my closest friends. This is where my learning curve took off. 3 years later, I opened up my own audio production company and I've gotten to work on some absolutely amazing projects. I'm not a master of audio sorcery. I have met people that have just absolutely floored me on what they can do with a microphone and a little bit of creativity. I'm still learning, but that's honestly what I love about this industry. The constant strive to learn more and be better than you were yesterday. Having a genuine love for your craft will serve you very well. Spend some time working on your own projects, sound redesigns, or experiment with software. Try your hands at sampling, even if all you have is a microphone and your phone. You'll be very surprised what you can come up with. 75% of the jobs that I've gotten come from friends I've made throughout the industry. Friends from the people who are already working on the project usually get called first before the resume pile is hit. I only got my lucky break because I made a friend with one of the camera operators from a project I worked on over 3 years ago. So the more friends you have within the industry, the more opportunities you'll have to be lucky. If all you're currently focusing on is post-production sound, be open to more kinds of audio work. I've gotten work in a lot of different areas that I have never worked in before, but that didn't stop me from accepting the job and figuring it out as I went along. YouTube, Reddit, Facebook, Twitter are fantastic resources and are honestly where I have gotten to learn a lot of really cool tricks and tips, which leads me on to my next tip. This one might seem a little cliche as it is far from an original concept, but having a solid grasp of what each of your plugins can do and figuring out not only common uses for them, but also some creative applications for them will not only dramatically increase the speed of your workflow, but it will also help you in learning more complicated skill sets faster with a greater level of understanding. If I end up making a course later on down the road, I'll link it in the title card above. Using your own samples that you've recorded is crucial. Speaking from experience here, no matter how large your sound effects library gets, you will never have everything. So go get some experience with the process of recording and working with your own samples, as this is a must-have skill. Just like music, art is a muscle that you have to work out in order to improve. I have spent countless nights in my home studio working on improving my Foley, trying to recreate car engines instead of going out with friends. I'm not saying don't have a life, but try to spend a little time each and every day working on something that you are interested in. For the first year of being out of school, I would have month rotations where I would work on one highly specific area of audio and then move on to the next topic, like Foley, sound design, background ambiances, mixing, music mixing, doors. Yes, I spent an entire month cutting and recording doors. Overkill? Yeah, maybe. But honestly, they have to be one of the hardest things to cut for a beginner sound designer to cut realistically. I hope this video has helped you get some insight into how I've made it within the audio industry, and hopefully you can take some piece or pieces of information out of this video to help you succeed within the audio industry. If you would like to get more than one perspective, here are 2 videos of Greg and Marshall talking about how they made it within the audio industry. I have left links for these videos in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button, and don't forget to go make some noise.